I'm going to ask a few questions. If you were to think about your experience in essential oils, what's the number one oil that comes to mind when you think of sleep? Anybody can answer. What's the number one oil you think? I'm still perfect. I'm still, and you can comment or you can participate or chat. I'm cool with either. Um, I'm still. Okay. Why I am still though? Why is I am still the one that you think about the most?
I think because our brain needs to be still before we can go to sleep.
Fair enough. Fair enough. In fact, the brain is all too often not still. I am peace. I like it. Those are two great ones. I would say probably from a world perspective, lavender tends to be the most common. Now, lavender is the main ingredient in I Am Still with an aspect of vetiver. So let's talk about this. Some of you said I am still lavender. What does I am still help you fall asleep? Is it just more calming or does it help you fall asleep? Calming for you, Lori. Okay. So I had someone reach out. I actually have had this many times where I have customers reach out and like, hey, I've heard lavender is good for sleep. Do you have lavender? Yeah, we have lavender. But what are you going for? Right. And the truth is, I get a lot of those. They'll buy lavender and I'll say, well, let's clarify what you're wanting. Because if you're just wanting to go to sleep, we need a little bit more. And so I'll start asking questions like, okay, is it hard for you to go to sleep? Or is it hard for you to stay asleep? A great friend of mine here in Kansas, um, named Maya, he says, oh, I don't have a problem getting to sleep, Gav. It's staying asleep. And so I had mentioned in the beginning of this that you'll want to go read the blog. And Brooklyn, if you'd be so kind, can you put the blog um, in the chat if needed, if someone hasn't seen it? Because we talk about the concept of monoterpenes versus terpenes. And so essential oils are made up of terpenes. They are the building blocks of nature. They're not just in essential oils, right? They're in so many different things. But have you ever noticed that some essential oils seem very light in their scent and they seem to kind of flitter away after a moment, right? Like almost like, I don't know, sometimes a butterfly's coming and then it's gone. Like you see it and then it's just gone. There are some essential oils that they come and then the scent goes. Most often, those are what we call monoterpenes, where they have a high amount of specific monoterpenes. I did a video yesterday on Instagram about D-limonene, and D-limonene is the main chemical in citrus oils. And so citrus oils flash really quick, or rather evaporate really quick. D-limonene is a terpene. And so there are very specific essential oils as monoterpenes or lighter oils stay in the blood less time. They stay in the system less time. Do you see where I'm going with this? But if we go to a heavier oil like this, patchouli, vetiver, cedarwood, right, copaiba, they have what we call a lot of inside of them, they have what we call sesquiterpenes. And all that means is that a monoterpene has a terpene is basically works in um, sets of 5. So a monoterpene has 10, a set of 10. A sesquiterpene has 15. So it's heavier. It's more complex. There's more to it. So see if you're picking up where what I'm throwing down here in a minute. If someone, let me ask this question. If someone desires to sleep longer, or let's say, let me change the question. If someone has a hard time getting to sleep, do you think they would use a monoterpene or a sesquiterpene? You can be wrong, but I won't make fun of you if you are. Um, right? Mono. Exactly right. Because we're just needing the help to get to sleep. Lavender is made up of mostly monoterpenes, right? Orange, really calming oil and really good for sleep. It's one of my favorites to put right over my chest. In fact, what I'll do often is I will take Remember Him, I will apply it to the chest, which is high in cedarwood, right? It has different types of frankincense. Lots has copaiba, has many different sesquiterpenes in it. Then I will layer the orange on top of it. And that gives me a combination, again, of monoterpenes and sesquiterpenes. So when we combine them together, we're creating this idea of let's help the body get some rest or get to sleep or calm to sleep. And then sesquiterpenes or stronger or heavier oils can last in the body up to 72 hours. Now, don't get me wrong, they're not going to be full strength at 72 hours, but they have a much longer life in the system than a monoterpene. And we get essential oils that are mixtures of both. Most essential oils are a mixture of both, actually, right? You look at frankincense. One of the reasons why frankincense is so powerful is it has a high amount of both monoterpenes and sesquiterpenes. But frankincense is not a good choice for sleep. And here's the reason why. It will help calm the central nervous system through the sesquiterpenes, but it will not calm the mind. I was told when I first was introduced to essential oils, frankincense is the perfect oil for calm. Not for this cowboy. Nope, not at all. It is calming for the system, but my brain would just turn on the nitrous, the turbos, and it would just go. Now, sometimes I want that. Sometimes I'm trying to focus on something and really want to dive deep into something, and it helps open my mind to do that. But initially, frankincense is not my first choice ever for an oil to help with sleep. If I'm wanting a deeper sleep, I'm going to look at something more like a patchouli. But let's break this down for a minute. So if you have mental stillness, or we could even look at another blend. Let's see what I've got nearby. Let's start with this. If you look at mental stillness, we have orange, monoterpene, lavender, monoterpene, petitgrain, monoterpene, or lighter oil. We'll just call them lighter oils to make it easier. And the last two are copaiba and Peru balsam. I love this one too. It's my jam. Mental stillness is my favorite relaxation oil. Favorite relaxation oil. So what we're finding here, why did I blend this the way I did? I blended it for that combination of monoterpenes and sesquiterpenes to help with both helping us calm to sleep and help us stay asleep if needed. Now, can I say this is an absolute will put you to sleep? Not at all. Because I actually use it a lot in the day. And what it really does is minimizes the stress. So sleep oils, there's the other myth. Sleep oils don't put you to sleep, right? They help your body to get into a state where it can naturally relax and go to sleep. But essential oils don't put you to sleep. That is a total myth. Now, if you're running on days or lack of sleep or very little sleep, when you use an essential oil, that relaxation piece may make it really, really easy to fall asleep. So you got to be careful. But mental stillness, what it does is has that great combination. But my friends, there are some times when even like a combination of this, or even like a combination of I Am Still, it has a high amount of lavender and does not have a really high amount of vetiver. And the reason why I blended it that way is because vetiver, if you put a lot of vetiver in, it will take over. And the scent of lavender wouldn't even be there. And some people's bodies, vetiver can be a little too strong. I know, Lori, your family loves vetiver. I love vetiver. It is a unique oil that actually gets darker over time and is arguably the most complex oil on the market. There's over 400 chemical constituents that we know of, high amounts of sesquiterpenes. But when a blend is not working for you well, because again, all of our brains are different. Sometimes we got to go to singles. So what I want you to understand is the reason why I will use a single sometimes versus a blend is I can determine how much of that single I can use or need, right? Where the ratios I have developed or put together the ratios in a blend that may or may not be perfect for your body. And so oftentimes it's good to go back to a single to get a baseline. So if someone was struggling with falling to sleep and staying asleep, let's go back to just the staying asleep. What may be happening is they need to go back to a baseline. And a baseline could be something like vetiver, almost all full of, totally full of sesquiterpenes. Cedarwood. We used to sell cedarwood atlas. Let me know if you want us to bring it back. Another one would be, like I said, vetiver, copaiba. Copaiba is awesome. My favorite tree oil, no questions asked. Right? So again, how would you apply the single? You just put a couple drops on the bottom of each foot. Some of them you only need one. Patchouli is an oil that we offer, but not a lot of people buy it, I think because it's so strong. Whoa. Like vetiver, this is an essential oil that gets darker over time. And it is a heavy oil. But I'm telling you right now, the other night, Gav was not falling asleep. So I grabbed some patchouli in the middle of the night, slapped it on the bottom of my feet. I was out in the next few minutes. It was what my body needed. Is it going to be perfect for yours? Probably not. But you need to start with a baseline with a single. So based on what I've talked to you about, that one gags me. Are you talking about patchouli, Becky? Oh, I get it. I get it. Um, but the beauty of this, I will tell you, is you don't need a lot. So you can put just a few drops in a roller ball and then fill the rest of the roller with a carrier oil, and it works fantastic. In fact, one of the reasons why sometimes it gags Becky is because the concentration's too much, and oftentimes it's too much for the brain. That's why dilution is so key, right? Dilution is key whenever we're applying an oil. But and maybe we need to, Brooklyn, maybe we need to put patchouli into a roll-on. Lori, I'm going to put you on the spot, and you can answer however you want. Do you like vetiver in a roll-on? Do you like it in a dropper? Now, vetiver is a little kind of common, I guess, common sense because it's so thick. But do you like it in a roller? And do you like the strength of it in the current roller? Now, I'm asking opinions now, and you can tell me yes or no. It doesn't hurt my feelings.
I like the roll on, just because I'm not real good at knowing how to combine it. But I also
Mm-hmm.
like it in a dropper because then I feel like I get more out of the dropper if I can make the roller myself. So I have both.
Gotcha. Perfect. Perfect. Great. Okay. So maybe we introduce this as a roll on at some point, but keep the dropper is what I'm hearing. Okay. I'll ponder that. Is patchouli and I am whole? Is that what you're asking, Becky? Or are you asking about vetiver?
I am whole.
Yes. So I'm asking, are you asking about vetiver, if vetiver or patchouli is in I am whole? Is that what you're asking?
Patchouli.
Patchouli is in I am whole.
That's what I thought.
And that's one of the reasons why it's so rad.
Well, I still
But
use it every night.
yeah, no, it's great. It's perfect. And so I am whole is one of those super, super complex blends, actually. And I'm looking to see, do I have one nearby? Yeah. So this is arguably the most common blend that we have, or excuse me, most complex blend that we actually have. So tangerine's high in sesquiterpenes. Neroli is unique in its capacity. Sometimes people will see it as a base, sometimes not. But neroli is that oil that it's highly adulterated. It's very difficult to find a really good neroli that hasn't been just destroyed or just totally made to have no true natural value anymore. And it's the reason is because it's so expensive. But neroli, I put it in here because it's the best, in my opinion, as an oil to recenter you after you've kind of been sideswiped. Have you ever just been, yeah, like today, right? When I got that call, it kind of took me off balance for a minute. Neroli is a great oil. I am whole is a great oil to be able to do that because neroli helps us, boom, helps us recenter specifically when it comes to things like feelings of anxiety. And I am whole just does that really, really well. So then you have that patchouli, which is setting the stage for it to last longer. In fact, Becky, maybe you've noticed, maybe you haven't. But if you apply I am whole and smell it, and then wait 15 minutes, the aroma will have changed. And
Interesting.
I built it to do that. So the reason is because the tangerine starts to flash off and those sesquiterpenes will start to come through, like your patchoulis, your sandalwoods, right? Even your ylang ylang. Litsea kind of flashes off quick. Turmeric is heavy in and of its scent. There's very, very, very little turmeric in there because it wants to be the star of the show whenever whatever blend you put it in. But this is truly a cellular blend. Truly a cellular blend. So can this be helpful for sleep? For some, yeah. For some, I am whole can be really helpful for sleep. Is it going to be for everybody? No. But there are a lot of sesquiterpenes in that. So let's go back to this concept of and review real quick. If we are struggling to fall asleep, oftentimes it's okay to start with, monoterpenes or lighter oils, your citrus like bergamot, orange, or yes, your I am still. Yes, even I am peace can be really helpful in that. Um, I like also our I am enoughs have a lot of different sesquiterpenes in them. They can be to help you stay more asleep. But again, it's not like it's so concrete that you can't use one or the other. It's just to make you think about the idea of, okay, wait, is sleep overall just challenging for me? And sometimes, I had a great conversation with a friend of mine who's an MD a few weeks ago, and they made the comment, and this was in conversation. I know it doesn't apply to necessarily everybody here, to the ladies here, but he was talking about the idea of waking up every hour in the night. Oftentimes that's men having struggles with their prostate, which is different than waking up a few times. And his comment was, Gav, if someone's waking up a few times at night, it's generally some aspect of could be sleep deprivation, or I'm going to substitute the concept of the adrenals aren't getting the decompression that they need before we try to go to sleep. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Yes, that's
And
me.
so, yeah, so the way that we actually begin to help those adrenals decompress is we apply some of these oils over the adrenals in the evening, right? Where we can put some of these sesquiterpenes like an I am enough original. You can even do an I am enough rose. You can do an I am still because the vetiver's in there. You can do I am whole. This is a time that we start to apply them over the adrenals to help those adrenals decompress before bedtime, right? It's kind of like how the female body has to have DHEA before progesterone can really be exceptional and helpful. If a woman doesn't, I'm gonna mute you, Becky. You cool with that? Um, if a female body doesn't get even the preparation or the rest it needs before the stage of progesterone won't really be helpful and won't have the opportunity to thrive. And so this may be sometimes, ladies, where you may get to the end of the day and you're like, I am just not getting the rest that I need. And it really, I would look at it from an oil perspective. There's obviously some nutritionals you could look at, but I would look at applying to oils over the adrenals at that time. Now, let's think about possible nutritionals, right? Just from an herbal perspective. And you'd have to know your medications. I'm not recommending this necessarily for everyone. This is for education. So we would look at lemon balm can be very helpful. Lemon balm is also the same as the oil Melissa. You can get lavender in a supplement form, which I've used. It can be really helpful. I like ashwagandha, which is a great adrenal oil. Roman chamomile can be helpful as well. It's another one that I like. I also really like holy basil. Holy basil, which is different than our standard basil. Another word for that would be tulsi. And these are great herbals that can also provide nutrients to support the adrenals while the essential oils are helping refine the message. So remember, essential oils are the messengers. They help enhance the message of the body. The herbs provide any nutrients necessary to repair and oftentimes restore. And so oils can do that sometimes, but they're not long-term nutrients. So I view them more as let's utilize the oils to enhance the message to help the body. Does that make sense? Becky, that wasn't me talking. You're okay. You're not in trouble. Like nobody's going to the principal's office. Um, what questions do we have? Let me look. Yeah, because you're in adrenal fatigue, you bet. Totally can be something. Do you suppose if I use more on my feet that I would sleep longer before waking up? Again, that depends on the oil, Carmen. I don't know how much you were here for the beginning, but sleeping longer, I would look at, so let's say a person's using mental stillness. What a person can do, mental stillness is only in a dropper. Right now, a person could apply mental stillness to the bottom of the feet, and then they can layer a sesquiterpene on top of it, right? They could layer some vetiver. They could layer patchouli. So remember, a layer is we apply an essential oil on the skin, we we rub it in, we wait 30 seconds to a minute, then we apply one on top of it. And then what happens is it creates this message that becomes more complex. And that complexity, again, combined with those oils together, is a message the body can work with. So it's not complex in the sense that it's hard for the body to translate. It means that we're bringing in more plant and organic compounds to support what our body needs. And so I have, in fact, years ago, what I really started with was one of my first mentors. We did a lot of layering. And so I would develop 8 to 10 oil layers for the spine. And so when you layer, you can get super specific. I'll probably do a class on this, but you can get really specific. So if someone's experiencing some type of digestive challenge, you can layer one oil on. And then if you want to address possible inflammation in another area, we can do another oil on top of that. And then we can get, right, so we can get super specific as to what we want to accomplish through layering. And this is another way. So Carmen, if you see this later, if you're not still on, is I would start with the blend you feel it's getting you possibly to relax to be able to get to sleep, and then layer something like patchouli, vetiver, cedarwood, copaiba, layer that on top and see if that's helpful, right? Along with possibly looking at some nutrients that could help you there as well. And there's plenty of different nutrients that may be blends as well in an herbal standpoint. So hopefully that's helpful. Cool. What are the questions you have on this? Does this open your minds a little bit? Does this help you understand? Okay, just because an oil is known to be relaxing, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to help me stay asleep. Again, we're looking for if something's a little lighter or a monoterpene, it's to help. It can be very helpful in helping to relax to get to sleep. Sesquiterpenes, heavier oils, and I think Brooklyn put something on here. Yeah, she did. So the blog's there, which also has, I give examples in the blog of sesquiterpenes and monoterpenes, how I apply them, what blends are high in them, what I use the blends for, and I teach that and make that clear in there. So hopefully that's helpful. What's a good oil to use if body is restless while sleeping, not the mind? It's a good question. It's a good question. The body is restless. I would look at, let's go back to singles, right? I think we go back to a baseline. of what we need to look at. What have you used in the past?
I'm still vetiver. I always use PM. Um, and sometimes if I'm really restless, I'll put it on my feet instead of on my liver, thinking maybe it was too strong. But
Can
just
be.
restless in general.
So when I'm restless in general, I generally apply it to my chest and the bottom of my feet. But in this case, the vetiver may be stimulating the mind because there are some aspects of vetiver that can do that. So I would look at maybe we need to introduce it more to what we call the ECS or the endocannabinoid system. And copaiba does that really well. So copaiba interacts highly with what we call CB2 receptors, cannabinoid receptors. And so that's an oil I would try. If that's not doing it, I would look at cedarwood. Or, I mean, even patchouli can do that. I mean, those three can be helpful. But I think vetiver, what I'm sensing is it does have, for some, an aspect of stimulation. For most, it's not highly stimulating. So I would look at, I like copaiba, then I like um,
Yeah.
patchouli or cedarwood. That's me.
Chest or feet.
Um, I like copaiba on the chest. The others, depending on the aroma, because again, if the aroma is too strong for you, that also can
Mhm.
keep you awake. And
I
so I
like
would look at
vetiver. I
patchouli
love
on the
how it
feet. If you like cedar, then great. But like copaiba, I just can't get enough of it. I can bathe in copaiba.
smells.
Um, that would be an interesting, moving, and digestive experience that doesn't need to be discussed. So, um, too much oil at any time, the body just gives you a moving experience. Um, that's where I would start. That's what I would do with my body. So, does that help? Perfect. Other questions? Beck, you got any questions? iPhone 243. I can't remember who you are. You got any questions? Has today been helpful? Good. Okay. Perfect. My friends, I think we've got enough for today, right? We've had 30 minutes and I don't want your eyes to glaze over today. My goal was to have some PowerPoints for you today to help you with that, but they're really kind of in the blog. Some of that information is in the blog. So go and check that out. So Becky, you mentioned you hadn't read the blog yet. Go to the blog. If you've still got questions, just shoot me an email or just, I don't know if you're in the Facebook group, just jump in the Facebook group and say, hey, Gab, I don't understand this. What oil should I put on my adrenals for sleep or just in general? Okay, again, this depends on what. Let me ask you this question. I'm going to name some oils, and then you can kind of tell me, I like that aroma, right? Oh, yes, Rebecca, I'm so sorry. Why does it show up Becky? You don't need to answer that. I think you told me this once already. Oh, Rebecca, so good to see you. I do know you. I know you well. So the question then is, are you using mostly blends right now? Let me just ask that. Or are you using any blends? I think you are, because you said you're using I Am Whole, right? Give me 3 blends you're using consistently. 3 blends you're using consistently, Rebecca. We know you're using I Am Whole. What are 2 others? I Am Peace and I Am Still. Okay. So I Am Still can be fantastic. So because of the lavender and the vetiver piece. Do you like the smell of vetiver? It's pretty subtle in I Am Still. Then I would look at the either I'm Enough Rose or I'm Enough Original Edition. And the reason why I like both of those, hang on tight. 1 second. One reason I like I'm enough original is I like that there's a bit more clary sage than we have in the rose edition. And when we look at clary sage, it is an oil that really does not only help the adrenals, but it accepts you where you are. I mean, it is just the personality of oil. If I was to give it a personality, it's just that friend you want to be with, where you're not looking for solutions. At the same time, they're not the friend that's going to allow you to be the victim. They're the friend that will allow you to just speak and get out what you need, and then they'll kindly lift you up. Clary sage is the oil that accepts you where you are, but doesn't necessarily want you to stay there. It wants to help lift you. And so that's why you can do clary sage on its own, not a problem. When we look at I Am Enough Original, I like the clary sages first. Then we have coriander, which is a stress reliever, but some aspect of stimulation. Then you have vetiver and then geranium. And so geranium and clary sage are very specific to the female body. Very helpful for the female body, both of those two oils. And they're wonderful for that. The beautiful thing about geranium is she is a neuroprotector. And I love how she protects. So going back to this concept of sesquiterpenes and monoterpenes, the monoterpenes enter the brain really quick and then leave the system relatively quick. So the monoterpenes deliver the text message, right? Whereas the sesquiterpenes enter and it's more like a long letter. There's context. It needs to be processed. It needs to be worked through. So that's why sesquiterpenes, due to their complexity, take more time to really unravel and support the body, because the body takes more time to get that message. So hopefully that's helpful. I like, again, I'm Enough. Clary's amazing on her own. Not necessarily total sesquiterpene, but really good for adrenals. Super good for adrenals. Really, really good. So hope that helps. All right. Anything else, ladies? Except staying rad and being awesome? Okay. So good to be with all of you today. If I didn't touch upon a subject like you maybe wanted me to, just reach out. Say, hey, Gav, we delve a little deeper into this and we will do it. Keep smiling, my friends. I will talk to you soon.